Hey everyone. So I was just having a conversation with a really successful friend of mine about what it takes to succeed on Amazon. And right after our conversation, I decided I'd just film a video for you guys to share three of my own lessons from the last half decade working with Amazon sellers on what it takes to succeed and maybe some mistakes that you guys should avoid. So it's just going to be a relaxed video. I'm not going to do screen share this time. I'll just be discussing these three different lessons with you guys and how I've seen these work for sellers that I've personally worked with or I've just spoken to on both the positive and negative side. So let's get into it. So my first lesson is to just be realistic about what's not working in your business. I know this sounds abstract, but basically what I've noticed over the last few years is that a lot of sellers have issues with their new products never taking off, or like a certain portion of their catalog not working. Maybe their entire account isn't working, or the account is shrinking year over year. A lot of them just want to fire their agency to fix it and try to bring on someone else or try to optimize their bullet points and their keywords. They're not actually realistic about why this is happening, right? Because often the real reason it's happening is a lot more difficult to solve than it is to just find a new agency or to hire another advisor or to try to update your bullet points. So the way I see this play out sometimes is like a seller launched a bunch of products and they're getting no traction 3 or 4 months in and their ACoS is super high. Instead of asking like why there's no demand for this product or why the conversion rates too low or if the CPCs are too high for them to turn a profit, they try to go out and hire an advisor or try like a PPC software, which is actually what we sell. So this is obviously not biased at all from my side because these people could buy our software and I'd make money out of it, but they're not actually looking at the reason their business is failing, right? So if your ACoS is 400% 3 months in and you've spent tens of thousands of dollars, even if you've spent under that and your ACoS is like 90%, as long as you're not in supplements or one of these categories, and the product's just not moving at all, and your price is way above average for your market and you don't have enough reviews, like a PPC software isn't going to solve that. Updating your main image is not going to solve that, right? A lot of sellers try to look for the easiest solution rather than the actual solution that they need. Right, so they'd rather go out and try to buy some tool to some keyword research and update their bullet points than like actually face the truth and realize that their product's just not working or the price isn't working. They just don't have enough reviews and it's never going to actually work at this pace. So I think a very good skill for Amazon sellers is just to be realistic about like, hey, this is working and this is not working. And this is the real reason that this is not working, right? It's not because I hired the wrong PPC guy, most likely, and it's not because the bullet points are missing these 2 or 3 keywords. It's just that no one wants to buy this product, right? Or my price is too high, or I'm really offering zero differentiators and I just went into a market where everyone else has like 10,000 reviews and is spending $100,000 a month on ads and I don't really have the budget or the reviews for that, right? So people need to be realistic about why things aren't working and to be able to cut losers quick and to also have the persistence and the drive to continue testing new things that might end up be winners rather than to try to just like add band-aid solutions to their losers to try to make them work when they're clearly never going to work. The second lesson I've learned is to just have the right people on board, right? And I got to work with a lot of e-commerce brands, and sometimes if the brand is bigger, you don't work with the actual owner directly. You work with like a director of e-commerce or a director of marketplaces or like a brand manager or e-commerce manager, whatever else it might be. And many times that person actually really isn't good, right? So if you're like a brand owner and you're thinking of bringing people on board or already have people on board, it's actually very common for that person to not be good and for you to have that person in the company for years and not really know if you're not tracking them properly, right? So I've worked with many of these people one-on-one back when I used to manage ads myself, right? And when I used to be an account manager, and many of these people don't really do their work properly, right? And this could be, again, your brand manager. It could be like a PPC specialist that you've hired internally, a VA that you're using, whatever like type of team member you have to help you run your Amazon store needs to be really good, right? So you need to invest in training them and you need to also just hire someone who's good, like right out of the box, right? And we've worked with a ton of these people. A lot of them are either not actively doing the work or they are actively doing the work and they actually have no clue what they're doing, right? And they might even do things that harm the account, right? So they suggest strategies that harm the account. They, vetoed certain decisions that would have been beneficial for the account. And this over the long run can cost the brand owner, which might be you watching this video, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of dollars, depending on the size of your business, right? So you need to make sure that you have the right people on board because that person dictates what strategy your agency will use. That person dictates how the software tool that you have running your account is being used. That person decides so many different things. And a lot of people have these VAs or have these e-commerce managers basically controlling their businesses, and they're making bad decision after bad decision. So you really need to have someone who understands your product, someone who understands your category, and someone who really has a deep understanding of Amazon. And this sounds obvious, but it's actually very, very common for the brand manager to have no clue what they're doing, right? And it's also very common for them to know what they're doing, but just decide not to do it. And again, this could be your VA, your agency, your brand manager, whatever else it might be, right? Because we also work with a lot of agency owners, and I have a few agency owner friends who also don't really know that much about Amazon. So you really need to make sure that you have the right people on board. And again, like sometimes things aren't working out, and it's not because of the team that you hired. Like sometimes, and this is most times actually, if things really aren't working out, it's because of other external or internal factors. It's not because you have the wrong agency, right? Like if your product's not selling 6 months in, and you're spending thousands of dollars a month on ads and your conversion rate's abysmal or the CPC is too high, like that's not something that's going to change if you go out and hire another agency. So don't judge by results only. Just try to evaluate their knowledge of Amazon, try to evaluate their work ethic, their attention to detail, the standard of the work that they produce and the work that they accept from the rest of your team. And that will tell you more than enough, even if the results are very good or very bad, because you could have a very well-known, brand with a product with tens of thousands of reviews at a very competitive price, and the performance will look really good. And, on the other end of that, you can have a brand where the performance is very bad and it's an unknown brand and the products aren't doing well and the price is too high and it's doing very poorly, right? But that doesn't mean that the brand manager for that second company is any worse than the brand manager for the first company. If anything, the guy at the first company just has an easier job. Doesn't necessarily tell you anything about their performance. I've seen accounts running at like a 7-8% ACoS with millions of dollars in monthly sales being run by people who weren't very good, in my opinion. And the fact that the account did very well masked the fact that they weren't really doing their job properly and that they were losing the company millions per year. So you really need to make sure that you have the right people on board. You need to continually follow up with the people that you have on board and have a way to test their performance and track what they're doing. Maybe even get another opinion on their work, like an outside opinion on their work, to make sure that they're always staying up to speed and they're always providing value for your company. My third and final lesson is to always do at least slightly more than what you're required to do. Never only do the bare requirement. Always go at least one step beyond what you need to do, right? And this manifests everywhere in your business. For example, if you're going to create a main image for your product, don't just add a plain blank image of your product on a white background. Try to angle it a bit different. Try to design the packaging to stand out with different colors or different shapes. Try to add something in the background. Try to add some labels. Try to add some text to attract clicks and let customers know that you have what they're looking for. Just always go one step beyond what everyone else is doing. If you're going to have listing content, do it very well. If you're going to price your product, don't just price at market. Try to be at least a couple dollars below market, right? Always try to be one step beyond what you need to do, right? Because as soon as you're doing the bare requirement, you become literally the same as every other product or every other company out there. And even if you're succeeding today, you can't guarantee that you're going to succeed tomorrow. And oftentimes brands that aren't constantly trying to do more than others eventually do see a decline in sales, right? Especially with the competition from China, from manufacturers that are now directly selling on Amazon at much lower prices with much lower COGS. It's just gotten a lot more competitive, and you guys always need to do at least slightly more than what everyone else is doing. And if you have a good product, don't rest on your laurels. Launch new variations, launch new sizes, launch new designs, launch completely different products to make sure that you always have a pipeline of new products that can end up being winners, right? So that's pretty much it. These are the 3 lessons. I'd say the 3 most important lessons in my opinion. Be realistic about what's working, have the right people on board, and always just try to go one step ahead of everyone else. Always be the brand or the product that's at least 10-15% better than everything out there. And if you can be more than 15% better, obviously do that as well. So that's pretty much it. These are just some notes from the conversation that I had with my friend. I hope this was useful. These are the 3 things that I actually think are key to succeed. Some of these might sound a bit abstract, but I think those of you who have already succeeded are probably nodding your heads right now in agreement to what I'm saying. And if you guys are starting out, just focus on these 3 things and constantly ask yourself if you're implementing them. That's it for this video. I hope you guys found it useful. As always, if you want to reach me, just go to www.aiho.com and book a call, and either me or someone from the team will show up. Thank you and have a great day.